And the doctors treating Sergeant Bergdahl in Germany say the former prisoner will recover at his own pace. It could take a couple of weeks or even longer before he comes back to America. Retired Air Force Colonel Lee Ellis knows the challenges Bergdahl faces. He was also a prisoner of war held by North Vietnam for 5.5 years. Colonel, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. Tell me what you're thinking as you hear about Bowe Bergdahl and the recovery he will face.
Well, the first thing I thought about was my parents and what they went through during my 5.5 years. So I can really relate to Bowe's parents and their excitement of having him coming home. I think for Bowe, the thing that I realized once I got out was that my normal was no longer the real normal. What I'd been living in was a really an unusual world and really not the typical world that you would experience here in America.
And what does that do to you?
Well, I don't think I realized it fast enough. In retrospect, I really had expectations that everybody back home was going to be perfect because that was the way I'd been remembering them. The country was perfect, my family was perfect, and in reality, nobody's perfect. So coming home with an attitude of grace and being accepting of others not being perfect would be helpful for him. I think that's been a process for me over the years.
Well, Colonel, what is the most important thing that friends, family, and strangers can do for Bowe when he gets home? Everyone is so excited. They want to talk to him. They want to touch him. They want to feel him. What should they do?
I think just communicate to him that he's valued and important and that they're glad he's back and just that they're there for him. Right now, immediately, he won't know what he needs, I think. He'll be so overwhelmed with so much coming at him. But just to know they're there, and when he's ready to talk or wants to talk or needs to talk, that they're there and they'll just listen. I think that would be great. And then he's going to have to find some good connections with people that understand where he's been and what he's been through, that can relate to him and listen to him.
How do you survive where he's been and what he's been through?
I think you always survive everything one day at a time. You keep walking forward until you come out the other side. Hope is so important. We heard hope this morning coming out of his hometown. People talked about hope. You can never give up hope. You have to believe that someday there's going to be a better day, and you keep moving forward toward that day. And you know, Bowe's going to have a lot of difficulty coming home. Life is not easy for any of us, and he's going to have to work through those experiences also. And that's where he's going to need help. And I would say probably he's going to need some counseling. That would be good for him and helping him because he's probably going to have some degree of PTSD also.
You were held with Senator John McCain, and so there were several of you POWs together. Bowe Bergdahl was the only American POW, so he was alone. Do you think that will complicate his recovery? You said that he can barely speak English. His father said he can barely speak English.
Yes, I do think it will complicate it quite a bit. We had a couple of guys that were in China held for more than 5 years and several that were in solitary confinement for several years, but they did know there was some support around. I think for Bowe it's going to be much more difficult because he was so alone, and knowing who to trust and who not to trust and just feeling safe and letting his hair down a little bit, I do think it will complicate it significantly.
Colonel Ellis, do you think the government should have done this?
Beg pardon?
Do you think the U.S. government should have done this, made this exchange?
Well, I don't know that I know enough now. I'm a little bit concerned about it. I think there are a couple of issues here. One is negotiating with terrorists, and two is the issue with the law. And thirdly is really what is the message it sends around the world. I'm certainly happy that Bowe's home, but I'm also a little bit concerned because actions send messages around the world, and this message, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But right now, I'm a little bit concerned about it.
Colonel Ellis, thank you, and thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
Thank you.